Hello, this is the Mindless Media Podcast. I'm CJ Simon.
I'm Lucy Bugg.
And today we are talking about Justice League. I'm not misremembering that.
No, that's right. That's a really poor start.
It is, but you know, that's just us. Poor start, great finish, and it's all about the climax, isn't that right, guys?
I don't like you.
Here at the Mindless Media Podcast, we dissect the political themes, commentary, and sort of world surrounding the movie. But before all of that, we always ask, did you like this movie, Lucy?
Not very much, no. I liked it more than I thought I would, but it was a disappointing movie. It was like the Avengers, but not very funny.
Which I actually thought it was quite funny, and I love that our hot take 3 years after the movie came out is probably not news to anybody that Justice League wasn't a beloved movie, but I thought it was funny. I thought Ezra Miller was funny. It was really campy, and I feel like the writers must have known that they were taking the piss at points. And that to me was hilarious. One of those highlights was when Martha Kent, which is Clark Kent's mother, goes to Lois Lane and goes, "He said that you were one of the thirstiest young women he's ever met." And if that's not clearly somebody just like taking the piss with their writing, I don't know what is. And so it felt like a good movie. It felt like a movie that if you switch off your brain, then you could enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's not what we do here, though. So give me, what was your kind of first political take on this? What was one of the first things you really thought about when watching this movie?
Honestly, like, at first glance, not much, because to enjoy the movie, you really do have to not use your brain. So I kind of didn't. But the first thing is really just that Ezra Miller's been cancelled, as they say. And
Yes.
a bit of a problematic
Recently.
one. Very recently. I don't actually know when.
I think it was about a month ago. What do you remember? Do you know the details of what happened?
So there's a video of him assaulting a woman, and he's been taken off like all of his projects and upcoming things, basically.
Yeah.
Just
No more
straight
Flash
assault.
movie for which because that kind of came up on my newsfeed recently, although the assault was at the beginning of April. I don't really know how to feel. Like, it's surprised, but that's, you know, anybody can be an arsehole. The question is, though, I guess, yeah, and it's an age-old tale, as of, you know, the beginning of the Me Too movement. Is cancel culture the way forward?
I think cancel culture is such a difficult one. So I think there are points where it's necessary, and points where people don't deserve a platform when all they're doing with it is like bad, or just like a sort of like setting a bad example. In like Ezra Miller's case, like, it's not that he was necessarily using. I mean, I don't know. Did he know her?
No. I think it was a fan. I think it was a.
Okay, so he is kind of using his fame to be a dickhead. Never mind. I was going to say it wasn't that, but it is. But I think there's a point where you just have to take away someone's platform and be like, no, you can't have this. If you don't know how to be a nice person, like, there's sometimes like no, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like no going back almost. I think cancel culture gets taken too far, massively.
In Mel Gibson's case, it only took 20 years before you could start making movies again,
Yeah.
which for a man who called his wife and said, "I hope you get raped by a pack of," and I won't say the racial epithet for commonly used towards African Americans, but that is kind of the lovely thing out of his mouth. It only took a couple of decades before Hacksaw Ridge was Oscar nominated, and everybody was like, "Hey, Mel Gibson, he's a cool guy."
Yeah. Or like, oh,
so
he's not been around in a hot sec. Yeah, there's a reason for that.
And it's, you know, I don't want to toss hairs over what act is redeemable and what act isn't. But there are so many movies about redemption. There are so many movies out there about how your past doesn't define you, how you can grow and change and be a different person, and you can win your life back. And I wonder whether Hollywood will remember that. I'm not arguing that they should.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, kind of like practice what they preach, even though it's movies. But like, will that sort of thing happen in reality? And I think you're right, like, the conversation of like what is redeemable and what isn't is just not like a possible one to have, and you can't, it's like almost like gatekeeping, like hurting people, like how whether people are allowed to be offended or upset by things, like it's not really fair or right to do that. But
we've become a culture of, and this is where we love, by the way, for anybody who is new to this podcast, we never stay on one topic at any singular time, and we can very much start talking about the film and end up not talking about the film, because I'm about to not talk about the film. We are a culture of people who like to get annoyed at things. I love it. If anybody has seen my Instagram yesterday, they will know that I can get very pissed off at things. Usually I don't really post because I'm just not that kind of guy. But we all do. We all like it. There are some things in the moment I just don't think is worth it, though. And maybe that's my ignorance and my place of privilege. And please strike me down if I am wrong. But to all of those people afraid that the pride flag is suddenly being taken away from them, I don't see it. I don't understand it. Please, somebody educate me. I don't get it. I think
the problem with the pride flag thing, so with just like context, I mean everyone probably knows, but context, the NHS are using the 6-colour pride flag, or the NHS aren't using it, people are using the 6-colour pride flag to support the NHS, which is well intentioned and harmless at a surface level, but I think the problem that people have with it is that it will like lose its meaning in a way, and it's a flag that, although now it's kind of just used in a more sort of, I want to say fun, I don't really mean fun, but it's just like
hopeful.
It's hope, and it's like, but like as the LGBT flag, it's just sort of used as like a nice thing for like pride marches and like just like pride more than protest at like in where we live in like England, America, like in the West. But I think the problem is that it is rooted in like a lot of like deep history of riots and like prejudice and all that, and I think people feel like their thing that they had that was sort of meant quite a lot to a lot of people is being just like taken away, and it's like, oh, you've kind of had that, like you don't need it anymore, which is what people have an issue with. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's a bit weird, honestly. Like just
what, the pride flag or the complaints?
People using the pride flag, like just like draw a normal rainbow. Like it is just a rainbow, but it's like if you tried to buy a pride flag online, people will have just like changed what the title is to like NHS flag. Like it's just
okay. I mean, if that's the case, then I agree. I mean, we shouldn't be adjusting the, like, we shouldn't be like, oh, here, would you like to buy this new NHS flag? It's like, I came here yesterday and you're advertising as a pride. No. It's always been the, like, if that is what is going on.
Yeah, that is then part of it. That's the bit that I think people are getting most annoyed at.
I think as you're alluding to, there's a way in which it can lose its meaning from us just kind of seeing it in this one way. But I also I've been to Pride twice now, and I saw one TikTok, because now TikToks are political, where somebody was like, I've not got TikTok. It was just shared. Don't degrade me like that. don't put me at your level. No, somebody had shared a TikTok, and it was this girl kind of going, "This flag represents all those Holocaust victims who died because they were gay," which, that's a part of it, but don't hyperbolize and change the history of the movement, because actually the pride flag means a lot of things to the pride flag means a lot of things to a lot of people, and part of that, as I see with the 20 different gay peoples walking around wearing whatever the fuck they want, pride flag wrapped around them, it is for the people that I know, and yes, it is a place of privilege, but then people within the LGBTQ plus community need to remember that privilege that they have, rather than kind of finding, I would argue, an inappropriate moment to fight back, because symbols change over time, and that can be okay. It can be okay to also hold on to it. I just don't think it needs to be done in as far an aggressive stance as it has been. But again, I don't know if you disagree with me on that one.
It's difficult, because I think what you're like, I understand what you're saying, and that, like, I'm not saying at all, like, I don't agree necessarily with what a lot of people are saying about it. I saw someone also on TikTok. I saw someone saying that comparing it to how the swastika was like a Hindu symbol for like peace or hope or something, and now it's universally recognised as a Nazi symbol. And like, the NHS aren't Nazis, it's just people who don't quite understand that the pride flag has more history than there sort of is at surface level. People who don't quite understand that connection are using it just because it's a rainbow, and I think the problem is that it's very well-meaning, the use of the pride flag at the minute, whereas Hitler using a Hindu symbol for the Nazis was not.
Yeah, but it's also why that symbol is so, it has been so ingrained in people's minds, as this is now the Nazi symbol, because there was a long period of time to which that was oppressive against the psyche of the world around us. In reality, this flag thing, I mean, people have stopped clapping. Not fully. There, you guys are probably, if you're listening to this, there are probably people clapping for the NHS. The NHS, by the way, for all those Americans who are watching us, I did not realize, I looked through our stats, I did not realize that there was a significant portion of our viewership in the States. No,
I'm very surprised by that. I'm sort of surprised there's any viewership outside of family and friends.
No, we've got slightly talk. We've got the States, we've got some in Italy, we've got some in Finland. Shout, just like holler if you are from there. Send us an email, send us a hello. I see where you're coming from on that one. Sorry, got to get detoured again. What's going to happen is we're going to have this rainbow flag as the backdrop for the NHS for a couple more months, and then next year, because Pride is going to be cancelled this year, there's going to be the biggest fucking Pride you've ever seen in your entire life, and everybody's going to be loving the shit out of it, and it's going to be reclaiming back a bit of society, and we're going to forget the fact that people were afraid that the flag was going to be taken away from them. As long as people are still celebrating Pride, and as long as people are still holding the flag as a symbol of the LGBT community, it's not going to disappear.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think as long as it doesn't have a lasting impact, then it's fine. But I think I understand why people are concerned. I think it just is a case of almost over caution for something that's not that's not the point right now. And I also, this isn't quite the same point, but one of the images that I've seen going around in this discussion is like an NHS pin badge with the flag behind it, you know what I mean? That like nurses wear. Yeah. That's been around for ages. That's nurses wear that to say that they support the LGBT community. That's a badge that was created to show support of the LGBT community, and people are posting it like it's a badge that's created because of coronavirus to support the NHS.
This is my issue with social media, with everything, with we're now going to move into a different section of the movie with everything that's going on. My issue with social media is that everybody wants to jump and be a social justice warrior and does not do any research. B, they do not. It's an immediate action. They look for that immediate gratification in an immediate action and do not look in the large scale. Every single week that we have had a film with a POC in it who has become violent, I bring it up. It happens in this movie, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about. When people if people want to roll their eyes and be like, "Huh, why is it that he keeps complaining about this shit?" Well, why do I keep complaining about this shit? Is because it has a long-term psychological effect, because it ingrains the racist notions within the subconscious of people. Because no, I'm not blaming the Justice League for the killing of black men by police in America, or the killing of black men and POCs in general across America and across the UK. Yes, that does happen here. Statistically speaking, POCs are killed disproportionately more so than their white counterparts in the UK. I will find the statistics and comment on that if anybody disbelieves me. That is official government reporting. Yeah, sorry, I did a bit of rant there. My issue is of how this movie treats POCs. I don't know if you noticed that on first watching or not.
I honestly, and I guess ignorantly, would say I didn't to a massive extent. Like, now you've spoken about it a bit to me, like, before this, and the sort of portrayal of, I can't remember his name. Cyborg as violent and things like that. Like, I can see now where it comes from, but I think really sadly almost it was just not something that I registered as a thing. It was just like, cool, he's black and he's violent. Like, not that's not a problem, but just like, that's a thing, you know?
And it's like, it's one of those ones, I can't blame anybody for not seeing it initially. And to expand, my biggest issue with this movie isn't just that he's violent, it's that his whole body is now a weapon. Like, it's this image of this black man who is a weapon. He doesn't need to be armed for him to be violent. He is violent. And that, you know, that portrayal can go either way, because I have issues with an X-Man movie for doing almost the opposite. So hey, maybe I'm always just going to be whinging about shit. But it's that, and it's the fact that a key plot point in this movie is a question of whether he will be able to control his violence, whether he will be able to actually show self-restraint. And like, that is, you know, if we look back to, unfortunately it's not out, and maybe we'll re-record it again with a different group of peeps, but when we did All the Bright Places, that was about a guy who couldn't control his rage. He was a POC who couldn't control his anger. When we watched Platforms, that was a black guy who just kind of brutally sort of betrayed, and again, a seemingly uncontrollable violence. There is large amounts of ways in which these movies ingrain this image, and I don't, you know, I'm not blaming Zack Snyder, but I do think it's a subconscious thing that goes on, and it saddens me. It really saddens me.
It's, yeah, I don't really know what to say. You do sound genuinely really sad. Like, you're a bit deep. It's, I completely was just listening to you and not really thinking about the fact I had to respond. I think one of the problems with it and with this, and sort of just like the fact that I didn't notice it. I know it's sort of no one's fault, and it's not like Zack Snyder's fault for putting it in the film as such, but it's a lot of the rhetoric that's been going around, like over the past couple of days, because of what's happened. The rhetoric of like, if you're not actively anti-racist, you're part of the problem, or not part of the. Yeah, no, that's a lot of what I've seen on people's Instagram stories, and it's true. Like, it's not enough to just be like, oh well, like I don't hate black people. Like, I've not got anything against black people. Like, you have to at this point like actively seek out like ways to rise up black voices and like stop the problem and help in whatever way you can. And I think it's just another one of those representations of like, yeah, it's all well and good, it's just a superhero film, like he could be the same character but white. But the point is that because he's black, it has other implications and just ingrains the problem. And that's not really cool.
I on the comment of, and you know, we're talking about things that have gone on recently. That's the.
Yeah, that was very euphemistic.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I would be amazed that anybody listening to this wouldn't know, but it's another killing of. Fuck it. I'm not unarmed, armed. Who gives a shit? It's another killing of a black guy by the police, in America. Huge kind of response to that. It's reminiscent of the Eric Garner video in it was asphyxiation and overly violent police force. My issue with just because I had to do that little bit of context beforehand. My issue with the way everybody's responded is, personally, it feels disingenuous. The statements from people that, you know, or to all my white friends, if you're silent right now, then, you know, I'm watching you. We're watching. That's, you know, what, because a retweet is you fucking doing anything.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I think my point wasn't. Yeah, I want to go back on what I said and sort of. I think I know what you're gonna say, and well, shut up, Lucy. Just you say your thing, and I will say
no,
what.
No. Keep on going.
I can't phrase it, but I mean, the people saying that, I'm not necessarily sure that they mean it fully. Like, they don't understand. Not they don't understand, because that makes me sound like I think I'm better than everyone else. But, like, I'm not saying tweeting about it just means you're instantly not racist or you're not part of the problem. But I mean, it's more of a, like, in your mind and in what you do in your life. Like, take something away from this. Not necessarily like, if you didn't put it on your Instagram story, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's we need a lot more self-reflection, a lot more than what's been going on. A good friend of mine, you know, I'll message her and be like, yeah, I'm pissed off about this thing. Yeah, I'm concerned with this thing, and you know, she's from the Midlands. She's not met many people of color. And she will openly acknowledge, yeah, I don't know this thing, and I'm sorry I don't know this thing, and I am constantly trying to educate myself. And she is constantly in this, like, you know, not necessarily beating herself up about the fact that she's has privilege, but is at least trying to resolve that. And that is far better than trying to make somebody else feel like shit because you don't think that they have acknowledged their privilege yet. It's a lot of like pointing. It's the Spider-Man fucking, you know that meme?
Yeah, the meme where it's like pointing at himself.
Like it very much feels like that. Oh my god, this podcast is really doing good things for me. I've mentioned TikTok and a meme today. This is great.
I know you're so grown up. I'm so proud of you.
I'm very happy we chose to do this episode at this time. Had we recorded 2 days earlier, or even yesterday, like yesterday was when I found out about the killing 2 days ago. Yesterday was when, like, large portions of society were deciding that it was now time to post stuff. It feels an appropriate time, but part of a conversation I had with a friend of mine, Ella, shout out if you're listening to this. Chances are she's not. She's in the middle of exam season, so good luck and everything else. She is somebody who, and we both think about the issues faced by different people on a daily basis. That is a part of what stresses us out on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I listen to my Get Angry at White People playlist when I go running, and think about structural violence and structural oppression, think about the representation of people in media and how that has a widespread effect. And what is actually most saddening for me, and she kind of echoed this thing during our conversation, isn't just that it feels disingenuous right now, but is a sort of jealousy that I personally have, that I will continue to be stressed out and frustrated and sad all the fucking time. And a lot of people, they've sent that post, and you know what they're doing now? They're sipping margaritas in the sun because they haven't got a job to go to or uni work to do, and in their fucking, 2-acre back garden, feeling, really happy and or feeling really oppressed because lockdown's so difficult. And there is no amount of, like, reflection, be that within the self or for the world outside. And I'm jealous. I want that. I want to wake up in the morning and not think about the countless people in Yemen who are dying. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna fucking...
No, I know exactly what you mean. And I think you're so right. It's such a weird thing to be jealous of, but it's something I think about a lot of, just, like, imagine not caring and, like, being completely politically, like, apathetic. Like, you just sort of go about your life. You don't really think about the fact that things are going wrong and there's maybe something you could do about it and what should you be doing about it and blah 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 blah, and oh my god, like, white guilt and blah blah. Like, I just imagine not thinking about it. It would be so nice. I'm not saying my life's really hard because I have white privilege and I'm aware of it. Like, this doesn't make my life hard. It's just, like, it's a weird thought, you know?
No, there's the thing as well. I'm not exactly fucking, the most depressed person out there as well. Like, you have to toe the line between oh, woe is me and everything else, but it's, to not think about it must be lovely. I want to ask you a quick question before we move on to actually talking about the movie again. Lucy, what happened to Sudan?
What?
Do you not remember when everybody...
Oh shit, yeah, when everyone's profile picture went blue.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Do you think they know what's happening in Sudan, or do you think they were like, time's passed, I'm sure it's okay
also,
now.
Problematically, I don't know. Like, things go out of the news and I sort of realise every now and again that it stopped, and I'm like, oh, where'd that go?
Yeah, I don't know people's political opinions on Syria, but just so you know, the Syrian civil war was not won by the rebels. The oppressor who used tear gas and sarin gas on his own people, allegedly, we'll have to say, if we want to keep some fucking political impartiality, he's still in power. He's propped up by the Russians, and that's great. Oh, and the Kurdish people who supported the rebels and the UK and the US in their fight against Assad. Yeah, Assad is now currently with Erdogan, the Turkish leader, across the border, bombing the shit out of them. So, just so you guys know, all that pent up oh gosh, I really care about people anger that you had when you were 15 years old typing your little fucking Instagram keyboard, you should still be feeling it. It's still happening. You can still do shit. There are organizations you can talk to. You can fucking tell your MPs that they should care about this shit too. Don't get caught up in the social media tunnel of information it's
such a hard one, and so not hard, like just not. It's frustrating, I think is a better word, because it's not hard, and if you do care, you can care and you can do something. But changing your profile picture doesn't change anything. Like, I understand raising awareness, but seeing the same post 5 times in a row on someone's Instagram story isn't making me more aware. If anything, it's making me annoyed. And
yes,
that's worse than nothing. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, for God's sake, can everyone shut up about this really terrible, horrible thing that's happening. It's not something I want to be feeling.
No, because I had to toe the line of like how to respond. I saw one of my somebody follows me, with their profile picture as black, and I think that was just their profile picture. I don't think that was a response to the cause, but I fucking swear I will lose my shit if that is a thing that happens. I will lose my.
People on Twitter are doing the fist thing, and on TikTok, the like Black Lives Matter like resistance fist thing.
Look, all I'm saying is
it's annoying.
I mean, do it, but that fucking better not be coming down until the structures at B that allow for this to happen are gone. If you want to put the Black Power fist there, fucking go ahead. If you want to make your profile picture black, I better not see your face again until the sun and the stars have shone on a world that is without racism, because otherwise you don't give a shit. And that is that. And Lucy, could you talk about how this movie treats women?
And that's that for CJ and racism. Women, Wonder Woman is always a big thing of how the world treats women. Not how the world treats women, but Wonder Woman's always like a big symbol of like costume and perceptions of women in like superhero films and how she's basically naked. But the main thing with this film is the difference between how she is sort of portrayed, is the right word?
Yeah,
presented. How she's presented in this film versus in Wonder Woman, the new movie. And that being because of who it's directed by. I'm in an angry mood now. I can't focus. This is what I was like last night. I was thinking about George Floyd and the whole thing, and I was just not in a good mood. And I didn't do life.
I sat down.
I will make my brain function again.
It's okay. I sat down on the floor. I was just like, I posted something on my Instagram, so I had a couple of people messaging me, and I honest to God, I must have posted this thing at 5 p.m. and I look up and it's like 8:30, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I just lost the ability to properly function and everything else. So I understand, but it's on the Wonder Woman point as well.
Yeah, like, sorry, I just was all went.
No.
But
because you brought up something interesting as well, so it's a good time to process it. Of like how Wonder Woman is presented across the years is probably related to how we perceive her. Like, I'm sure she, like, the various dress to which she is allowed to wear is the extent to which we allow women to just exist and have power. And I'm sure somebody should do a research project on that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, the thing with Wonder Woman, and when the Wonder Woman film came out, which was before Justice League? Yeah. And a big thing of people being like, oh yeah, like it's great, it's such an empowering film, alongside the way that, I think partially just due to the way people think the fact that people are more aware now of sexism and of things like that, sort of the way that we perceived Wonder Woman being dressed in like skimpy armour, is what I'm going to call it, being dressed in that way isn't different to how she was dressed back in the day. Like, she was equally unclothed and cartooned with like massive tits back in the day, but people care now, I think, is a big thing. It's like in like what, the 70s, 80s? Is that when Wonder Woman was on TV?
No, yeah, around then.
Surely too early.
I'm not good with it. No, 70s, 80s is about the right time for comic books.
Okay, then yeah, around then, people weren't really bothered.
No, 1941.
Oh my god. Okay, well, back when Wonder Woman was created, people didn't really care. And now people start caring. I think it becomes more obvious when there's even sort of little things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, the small differences make a big difference. Wow. Eloquent.
The small differences make a big No, but it's very true. I shouldn't have... I just... Because I tried to look up Wonder Woman, and I should have done Wonder Woman Through the Ages to do a better thing, but I just did like I did like Wonder Woman now, and then like Wonder Woman before, and then like Busty Wonder Woman, and that was a really bad Google search.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because I thought it would show me like original depictions of Wonder Woman, like as in drawn for the comic books, but it did not. No. But that kind of on the point to what you were saying is like the way in which she is dressed between the first Wonder Woman movie and then this movie, no difference, but it was highly noticeable in one of the first shots that she is in, where the camera comes from below her and looks up, and we get this essentially underskirt, is that what they call it?
Yeah. Or upskirting is like
upskirt.
The
yes. Thing. We get this kind of semi-upskirt shot, and we kind of get the same again, but down shirt. Is that what it's called?
No, but we can call it that. I don't think it has a name, to be honest.
I'm sure it has a name. We get like a down shirt, upskirt, down shirt, and then one like of a camera that's held, like, it's not gratuitously long on her ass, but like it's it's like they were like, okay, how long can we do this for? And somebody, like the lawyer in the room, said, okay, you can get like 3 seconds. You can hold the camera 3 seconds on her ass. Anything longer, did you ever have that thing where somebody said if somebody puts a finger in your belly button for longer than 3 seconds, it's rape?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
it's one of those things, and I feel like we've spoken about this. Have we spoken about this before?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think
we
so.
Might not.
But I think it's a funny... It's like little things like that of like, if it happened... Like, it's along the same vein of like, if the teacher doesn't come for 15 minutes, we can go home. Like,
Yeah.
just someone set some random arbitrary time limit for these things, and it's just not true. But yeah, I remember in year 8, and the weird thing is that everyone's response to if someone puts a finger in your belly button for more than 3 seconds is rape. Is everyone went round putting their fingers in each other's belly buttons?
For like
I don't know
2
if you
seconds.
had that, but like,
Yeah.
that surely shouldn't be what you get from that. If you believe that is rape, you shouldn't think, let's like nearly rape people for lols.
Well, but exactly. Surely, if we, like, it's like, okay, so how long can we have this camera on her ass before it's disrespectful? Surely that doesn't mean let's do it just below the level of disrespectful that is still disrespectful. Surely that just means, hey, let's present this woman like she is a woman and not a piece of meat.
Yes. If you have to consider how long can I do this for until it's disrespectful, or can I do this, or is it disrespectful? Probably don't do it. Like, the best bet is probably just don't.
Yeah. And it's one I wanted to make an argument that geek culture in itself was had a negative impact on the world, and I don't know why yet. I can think about that for a bit longer. Somebody else can think about that, because we're talking about the presentation of people of color, where it's either hyper stereotypical in one way or another. You were saying, what was the conversation your parents were having?
My family we all sat down and watched it together, and we recently got Disney Plus, so we've been watching a lot of Marvel movies.
I hate you.
I'm sorry. I hate that Disney owns the world, but also I like watching films. And it gives you access to a lot of films, unfortunately. It is a real big shock, though, like, using Disney Plus and the amount of things that you can find on there that you wouldn't think would be on Disney Plus, because...
The things that Disney own, yeah.
Yeah, like, they own everything. It's wild. I can't remember what. There's a few things that I found on there that I'm just like, wow, Disney owns that.
But you guys were watching...
But anyway, we've been watching a lot of
League.
Avengers, and then we watched Justice League, and the thing that my sister brought up, actually, and it was whether the Avengers whether Marvel or DC is more culturally diverse.
Would your sister like to come on the podcast?
She doesn't have much to say. She could try. I don't think she'd like it, to be honest. She was just... She says sometimes... No, I'm not giving her credit. I don't think she'd like to come on the podcast, but she does say clever things sometimes. She's alright.
But where did the conversation go?
But the conversation went to just sort of a bit of a weird one of just like going through superheroes we knew and like listing whether they were like figuring out who the POC ones were. And one of the things we didn't consider, which you brought up before we started this, is like, yes, are there black superheroes, and are there like Asian, and like what are their actual cultural like backgrounds, but also are they portrayed in a positive way? Are they just stereotypes? Are they negative stereotypes, positive stereotypes, whatever? We just were very numerically going through and being like, well, there's this guy and this guy and this guy. But then in this one, like, there's those people and there's that. But I think what we basically came to was Marvel seems quite diverse because it's got a lot of black people. Because it had, like, Black Panther, and it's got just, like, generally a lot of black... Well, not a lot, like, it's not massive, but
somebody I forgot in my list in my head was that they've got... is he called Iron Legion? They've got Rhodey, played by Don Cheadle in most of the movies, and Cuba Gooding Jr. in one of them. Or no, it's Terrence Howard. It's Terrence Howard, not Cuba Gooding Jr. They just very much look alike. Yeah, no, I made the statement that, sure, the MCU has Black Panther, and it has Benedict Wong, that's the actor's name, not the character's name. I cannot for the life of me remember who Benedict Wong plays in...
I don't know. I have also...
Magic
got
movies.
Terrible Marvel/DC knowledge, so...
Oh, you're talking to, like, a secret comic book nerd. Like, not owns comic books kind of nerd, but in the, absorbed into the lore and the history, and, I have comic book friends who used to talk about this stuff all the time. But my issue with the representation in the MCU is it's very stereotypical. Benedict Wong is the... monk who he's East Asian, so therefore he knows the sacred arts, and everybody in Black Panther is native to Africa and wears the same clothes and everything else, and this is an important thing, any dissent from how they traditionally are involved in their culture is played for laughs. It's not like a normal thing. It's funny. So is it Shuri, Black Panther's T'Challa? Sorry, I didn't prep for this. So I didn't learn their names. T'Challa's sister, who I believe is called Shuri,
I think
goes
that rings a bell.
Like, what are those? Which is funny because she is native to Africa and knows a pop culture reference. Like that is the level of the humor. Or Benedict Wong is a Tai Chi master, but he listens to music through an iPhone. Like that. Not good.
It's not good. Like, I know exactly. Like, I know what you mean. Of sort of the fact that they aren't just. She doesn't just know what are those because it's a big famous pop culture reference, and she exists in the same timeline as everyone else. Like, it's because it's funny, and it's like she's African and she knows this.
She knows this. Oh my god!
Oh, what a joke! Look at this monk listening to music on his iPod. Lol. Like, it's not. Which shouldn't be like that.
And it's insane.
I think DC does, to an extent, do it better. I haven't watched enough DC films, to be fair, to comment on it, but just like having in Justice League alone, like Aquaman's Samoan and Wonder Woman's Israeli and black.
Cyborg's black, yeah.
Cyborg's black. Like Ezra Miller's Jewish.
Yeah.
Like, it's all, there is a lot of like white passing like people, but like it's more just like it's not necessarily part of their characters, and it's not something that's played on for like, oh, look at us, look at what we're doing, like we're so cool. It's just like it exists.
Jason Momoa's as much surfer dude as he is Samoan. Jason Momoa, what's his surname?
What is? Momoa, I think he's Samoa. Jason Momoa, and he's Samoan because he's not going to be called Jason Samoa. That'd be weird.
But yeah, I mean, even like I kind of like you. I don't know that much about the DC universe superheroes, but I just remember I used to watch Teen Titans Go. I don't know if you used to watch that.
I've never heard of that, but.
Oh, it's an amazing Cartoon Network show. It's actually on Netflix. I was just about to like start rewatching it, but Teen Titans Go was wonderful. And Cyborg, again, black character, who was just like, he was just fun and lovable, and you know that plays on some stereotypes as well, but none that are really negative, and some that if you alter them a bit, actually are very positive. Like, you know, there are issues across the board with the presentation of people of color in different facets, no matter how you portray them, and usually those issues exist because they are not written by people of color themselves. But you know, we will get there in the end. We will get there in the end. That's the hope.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going.
I think it's an interesting thing. It's something that we bring up time and time again, but it's important regardless. Is that it's all well and good having representation, but the form that your representation takes has to be positive in order for it to be sort of worth anything or worth sort of praising or commenting on. It's not enough just to have a film. Like, I'm not saying Black Panther wasn't culturally a significant film, because I think it is significant that there is a whole superhero film where they are all black. But that was I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're all black, and Martin Freeman's in it.
And Martin Freeman, yeah. Like, I think that is important, and there's like a place for praising that. But I think something that people need to consider and be more aware of, both like in production and consumption of movies, is if the representation isn't happening in a positive way or isn't really like saying anything, then it's not really worth it and it's not really helping. I don't know.
No, I mean, preach. Like, it's, and that feels like a nearly a good place to end this all on. And there are lots of different stuffs that we can talk about this movie. I wanted to bring up the fact that Steppenwolf is very much a colonialist. He's there to terraform. And we are now seeing that as a bad thing, when y'all need to remember your history.
Please still say y'all. You're not American. Nothing frustrates me more than English people saying y'all.
Y'all.
Sounds wrong.
I found it interesting that like that was what Steppenwolf was doing, and you know we've just come from celebrating VE Day, and which is sort of the end of the Second World War. I think that's right. Is that right?
Yeah, it's. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, then souls.
Yeah, if we're wrong, fucking sue us. No. Somebody. I complained to some of my friends being like, yeah, everybody's gonna get all bloody like nationalistic. It was what happened was we had a quiz that night on VE Day, and they were like, dress up like we're in the 40, like dress up like we're in 1945. And I was like, sure, I could dress up like we're in 1945, but like my people were still a colony. Like you are forgetting that this was not victory for everybody. And then they were like, yeah, but this is the, you know, it's the end of the war. It's, you know, we beat Hitler. And I didn't have a comeback for that. And then I read on Facebook somebody posting a message that was like, we were annoyed and pissed off with Hitler for doing something that we were doing at the same time. And it's just the fact that he was doing it to white people that we got in a huff about it. And kind of agree. Agree. So that was my only point in regards to Steppenwolf. I don't know if you had anything else.
I didn't really, but I think it is a good point. It's interesting. It's not necessarily wildly... No, it is relevant to film. I mean, everything's relevant if you can link it, isn't it? But I think it's an interesting one. It's a difficult one to sort of say, because whilst it is very much true that what we were annoyed about of like the Holocaust and stuff is something that we were doing too, and we just weren't doing it in the West, and we like even like British people weren't aware of it like they were aware of the Holocaust. But I think there is a problem there in saying, no, you're not allowed to be happy that we beat Hitler, because that was also a good thing. And like it's very much about like little achievement. No, not it's not. That's not a small achievement. It was like a big thing, kind of a whole world war. But like, I don't know. I think there's space to be happy that one form of injustice ended, even when other injustices continue to go on. I think that's important to remember, and it's very easy to get caught up in like
being angry at things,
cynicism and anger about the past and the present. It's very easy to get caught up in that and not think about the fact that people like are trying a lot of the time.
No, I think you bring us to a really positive end, and with all that ranting about people not, you know, me thinking people aren't doing enough or caring enough, you know, post things, do, and care, and do, and relax as well. You know, you don't have to be angry all the time. I think I bring up the you know, frustrated at Hitler for doing what we were doing elsewhere. I bring that up because we shouldn't forget that. We don't have that to clog our celebrations. We don't have to forget it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important. I just thought it was worth ending on a more, like, worth noting the more positive side of it. And it's something that I am guilty of, and it's something that someone said to me yesterday, because I went on a bit of a more private rant about people's response to George Floyd's murder. And my friend just messaged me, and he was like, yes, I understand where you're coming from, and yes, it's frustrating, but don't let cynicism get in the way of the fact that people are trying. Like, this might be for some people the first time they've really been aware of something like this and the fact that it is such a big issue, and they want to help and don't really know how. So even though on the outside it kind of looks like a very minimal thing, and it looks like they're just sort of doing it because everyone's doing it and they only care now, it could be the beginning of someone actually caring and putting a proper sort of effort into it and making it part of their life. And I thought that was a really good point. So
Yeah.
I wanted to share. I think there's also people who are just doing it because everyone else is doing it. It's trendy and they won't care next week. But, you know, people aren't all bad.
I hope you're right. I do. People aren't all bad. And I think overall, that's the message of the film as well. It's weird how we've kind of watched this at the perfect time in that. And I read an article saying that this theme was rather too vague, which I kind of agree. But it's the fact that a world has lost hope. Hope, Superman being this kind of symbol of hope. And we can regain that hope again. And, I think the movie kind of paints it as this thing of like, all you need is hope to win. But I hope can do a lot. And yeah. I'm hopeful. I don't know if you are.
I try to be. I want to be. I think that's as much as I'm going to get for now. But I want to be hopeful. And I do try to project more hope and sort of make myself hopeful, because at the end of the day, anger can only get you so far, as much as hope can only get you. Like, you need both, and it's important not to let either get in the way of the other.
Yeah. This has been a really therapeutic episode. And
yeah, that was quite a nice little ending. For a bit emotional.
So this episode is now actually going to go out the day that we're recording, because I think that's quite an important thing for us to put out as soon as.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you all for listening, because we're about to hit our end. Do you want to give the movie a quick grade, really quickly? No faffing.
I would give the movie a 4.
A 4 for being a movie, and
I'm giving
for
it
being
a 4
a political
because it's
vehicle.
a bit crap. Political vehicle. It again doesn't do much. We've had some interesting discussions from it, and I think the hope thing maybe is a message that we didn't talk about much in the actual podcast, but just mentioning it at the end, I think that is a good message to put out into the world. So I'm gonna give it a 6. No, I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5. Okay. I'm gonna actually do this, and give the movie a 5.5 as a movie in itself. I didn't think it was that bad. I chuckled. When you think about it a lot, I'm gonna give it a 3. I think the message of hope is good, but it does.
It's not enough.
It does not enough to push it higher. Thank you guys for listening. If you disagreed with us or you agreed with us, this is an important time to start communications. And if you feel like we're the people to be communicating with, then you can find our Twitter, our Instagram, everything else down below. It's very difficult to always get in contact with people, and to those who have contacted us, and if we've not responded, then my apologies. But that will all be down below. You can contact our email address. That's thefollyteam@mindlessfolly.com. That's the FOLIE team at mindlessfolly.com. And because this episode's going out today, next week you can hear us talking about the movie Boy, Taika Waititi's movie. It's currently on Amazon Prime, so if you want to get ready for that, then give it a watch. I've been CJ Simon.
I've been Lucy Bugg.
You have been a fantastic audience. Thank you for listening. This is the Mindless Media Podcast.